Hey everyone, welcome back to the Families Fly Free podcast. I'm Lynn Mettler, your host and the creator of Families Fly Free. That's my exclusive membership where I personally take you by the hand and teach you my simple system to always fly your whole family for free, including my famous Fly Free formula. And I give you one-on-one support and the real-time information that you're going to need to be continually successful through all of the changes in travel rewards year after year. So I am just back from a super fun trip that I took with my elite Families Fly Free members out to Sonoma County, California, California wine country. And elite is an upgraded level of Families Fly Free membership that's primarily designed for those who've been members for at least a year and have kind of got the basics down and who are looking for an uber personalized experience. And already you get a very personalized experience in Families Fly Free. Very available to you. You can email me questions. We take any questions you have about travel and get back to you. You can text us, you can email us, you can come on my live Q&As every single month and ask questions. But this is a whole nother level on top of that, where we meet every single month as a small group over Zoom. Sometimes we bring in guest speakers on travel topics. We share our travel tips. We share where we've recently traveled. We ask questions of one another and really get to know each other very well. So if you're looking for connection in a community of travel lovers, this is a great option. We also have real-time texting in that group with the group and with me for any questions that you have in real time. And you get a couple of one-on-one calls with me. You get an updated travel rewards audit and plan for your family. And we meet up in person. And so we just had our very first meetup, and it was so fun to meet some of my members in person was so delightful. I have done a meetup in my Indianapolis area in the past with some members, and so that was this would be my second time of doing, meeting people in person. But we really enjoyed, seeing each other live instead of on Zoom, and just talking travel rewards. We talked about how everyone came to Families Fly Free to start with, and it was so fun to hear those stories and where they heard about it and what a difference it's made in their lives. And California wine country is absolutely beautiful. We stayed at the Hyatt Regency Sonoma County hotel, which was really, really great. I highly recommend it. It's located in Santa Rosa, which is a great home base if you're going to explore different areas of wine country. It's kind of the biggest town in the area that has restaurants and infrastructure. And so we went to St. Francis Winery, and those of us who were interested had a glass of wine. We walked through the vineyards. We sat out on their patio and just chatted and got to know each other with this, stunning view in the background. We did a tour of Corbel Champagne, which was really interesting to learn how the champagne making process and what it used to be and what it is now and kind of the history of that family. And really beautiful grounds and building there. They have a great deli. If you want to eat lunch there, we walked through Armstrong Redwoods State Reserve. I think that's what it's called, but just this beautiful forest of redwood trees. We did just kind of a under 2 mile walk, if you will, and saw one of the oldest trees. We saw some interesting trees in terms of, what they looked like. And again, we just chatted along the way. So we're itching to do another one in spring 2026. And so Elite is open to all members, even though it is ideally for those who are a little bit, who at least have the basics down, have the ropes down. But so you would have the opportunity to get in on that if you join Families Fly Free soon. I open Elite in December every year for the following year. So I just wanted to share that. Also, a couple of other notes. Cami works for me and has been involved with Families Fly Free, and before that for many, many years. So she flew out with me. Super fun. I was able to change my companion for my husband and make it her. That's one of the great perks of the companion pass. You can change it 3 times a year. So that was great. We were able to get on a Southwest plane that did have the new extra legroom seats and the new layout. We didn't get to sit in the extra legroom seats, which was interesting because we were maybe like A25 or something like that boarding. And still, we didn't get in the extra legroom seats. They're only like the first 6 or 7 rows in the front of the plane and then 3 rows in the middle. And so you can look out for them yourself if you're going to be flying Southwest soon. You identify them they have a little heart like if you're facing them on the right corner. That's how you know it's an extra legroom seat. So we took a glance at it, just looking at it. I don't think you would notice that they were any different. But I did verify with the flight attendant that this was a plane that had been retrofit with the new seats. So I think probably if you sit in the seats, I bet you can tell a difference in terms of legroom. We did notice, we thought that any plane that has been retrofit with this new layout would have the chargers in the seats for your devices, and these did not. I thought that was so weird. If they're going to be changing the whole plane around, wouldn't you think they would put the new seats in that have the chargers? But they didn't in this case. We flew through Kansas City going. If you haven't been to that airport, it's a brand new airport. The last time I went through there, it was not a great airport. We always did not like flying through there because it was very, very small and it was hard to get out of the gate area to actually eat at a restaurant. But they've gotten rid of that airport and built a whole new one, and it is incredibly nice. So if you can choose a connection through Kansas City, it's actually a great choice now. And if you do have a priority pass for airport lounge access, they have an escape lounge there, which Cami and I were able to hang out and enjoy in between our flight for maybe 45 minutes. It was really, really nice. They actually had a good spread of food, not gross stuff, but real food you could eat. You could get even like a couple of alcoholic drinks, not something super fancy, but at no additional charge. And then they had, sodas and whatever that you could take on the plane. So that was really nice. And then we also, on our way back, we flew into Sacramento and then drove into California wine country, though. Now, Southwest has announced they've added Santa Rosa Airport as a new destination coming in spring 2026. So now you could actually fly directly into the heart of wine country, which is going to be so nice. I'm really excited about that because it's so fun to go out there and you can just do different wineries every time. And even if you're not into wine, the landscape is just beautiful. We've done a hot air balloon ride out there before that was stunning. You could see all the way to San Francisco. There's tons of good places to eat if you're a foodie. And it's just fun to go tour the wineries too, even if you're, not a wine aficionado. And some of the folks on our trip were not. And that's what we told. This was not a trip about wine. It just was a beautiful place to get together. So anyway, in Sacramento, which took us about 2 hours to drive over to Santa Rosa, they also had an escape lounge. So on our way out, we were able to hang out in that for about an hour before getting on our flight. And it was smaller than the one in Kansas City, but equally as nice in terms of the food and the ambiance and what they offered. So great trip. I just wanted to share that recap with you really quickly before we jump into today's topic. So today we're talking about what I would do differently if I were starting all over, fresh, brand new, if I was brand new to the travel rewards, what I would do with travel rewards right now if I were starting brand new. So if you're brand new to this, pay attention. If you've been doing this for a while, this might be some things you want to think about in terms of shifting your strategy in terms of what's working right now. And I say this in particular with families in mind. Okay, what I would do if I had a family, because I'm starting to shift into a different stage of life where my kids are almost both grown. And next year, we're going to be in a phase where we can start to do more couples travel and not be on the school schedule. Though when I say that, I want you to know if you are on a school schedule, we have done this for 10 years on a school schedule, and it absolutely works. Is it easier to not be on a school schedule? yes, because you can literally pick up and go anytime, and it's easier to take advantage of like a super cheap flight if you happen across it. But it absolutely works. Again, in Families Fly Free, we've now helped over 1,000 families do this. Some of those folks are couples and retirees, but a majority are families with kids in the home, and they absolutely make it work. So saying that, I just don't want you to hear like, oh, it doesn't work on a school schedule. It does, but it definitely, I'm just shifting into a different stage of life. So that's why I want to just say, I'm thinking about this as though I still had a family that would be traveling with us. So the first thing I would say is focus on flying free, to just limit your focus to that to start with. It's very easy when you happen upon travel rewards, or even if you've been doing it for a while, um, where everything looks amazing. You see the potential of all the different things you could do. You're reading all these blog posts, you're listening to all these podcasts of these, people who are flying in first class to Abu Dhabi and to Japan, and they're staying in these amazing places and um, staying for free, flying for free. They've got millions of points, right? Um, so what do they call that? Like the shiny object syndrome, like everything looks amazing, right? So what I want you to do, and what I would do if I were starting right now, is I would constrain myself to just learning one thing at a time and getting really good at that. And then you can add on, right? So a lot of my people, and this is really what I did too, and I think it was the right strategy. And I'll tell you as we go along some places where I diverted from that a little bit and made some mistakes, but is just figure out how to easily fly your whole family for free first. Because when you think about it, that is not the easiest thing to do. I have a very easy way that I'm going to show you how to do it. But if you just think about fly my whole family for free, that's amazing, right? That you can do that. Still, every time I get on a plane, I think, oh my gosh, I've been not paying for a single flight for 10 years. This is nuts that I can do this, but you can't. Um, so just get that down first, because if you start looking everywhere, and you start trying to accumulate too many points, um, it becomes confusing very fast and becomes overwhelming very fast. And then you get burned out on it. You get overwhelmed, you get confused, and then you quit. You may have heard me say that a lot, but I see that a lot. I have so many people who come to me who are in that state. And I don't want you to give up on this because you think it's too much work and you don't have the time to do it. And you don't want to mess with that. Like I hear that a lot too. I just don't want to mess with doing all of those things. I don't want to have to learn all of that. Really, if you could never pay for airfare again, and I could show you the simplest way to do it, I mean, it's not something that just happens on its own. You've got to take some steps, but I can give you the easy way to do it without overwhelm. And you do have to invest the time to learn it, and you may have to invest some money to learn it if you want to join Families Fly Free, but it's going to pay dividends forever. And once you learn it, it just goes on autopilot. So once you have the system down, it just works. And you have to take very little action. Aside from, you've got to stay up to date on the changes that are happening. That's one thing that's critical. And so the strategy that you were using 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it probably doesn't work anymore. And if you feel overwhelmed at all, or you feel like you don't have enough points in your account, it's not working. And so get on a system that does work, that updates as things change, because this industry constantly changes. The world constantly changes. The economy constantly changes. And so you need to know what to do right now. You need to know what the deals are right now. You need to know the best hacks and tricks right now. You need to know what cards to get right now, because cards come and go. Annual fees increase. Do you still need to have that card, or does it become a different card? And so that's what I give you inside of Families Fly Free. And again, that's one of the big reasons I created it, so that I have a place where I can work closely with people. I cannot work closely with the tens of thousands of people on my email list or my tens of thousands of podcast listeners. But I can, inside this membership, I can dedicate my time to working with you and answering your questions and ensuring your success. So, number one, start, focus, narrow, put the blinders on, focus on flying for free. That's number one. Okay, number two, I'm all about keep it simple, right? All right, so that's what is going to be number one and number two. This is key to keeping it simple and keeping you engaged and keeping you successful. Simple equals successful. That is so true. So stick with one ecosystem, if you will. So Chase, Capital One, Citi, Amex, right? Figure out your travel goals, figure out which airline best serves those travel goals, and choose an ecosystem, a flexible point system that's a good partner with that airline that allows you to transfer points and get good value. So for me, my favorite ecosystem is Chase because I like you to focus on Southwest Airlines. We're going to get to that in a minute, but focus on one system. This is also important to keep you from burning out, to keep you from getting overwhelmed. And just focus on collecting points in that system. Okay? That's very important. So that's another constraint. I think the theme here is going to be constraint. If I were starting over, not be having shiny object syndrome. That's very tempting to do, but don't try it. Be aware that that's happening. You'll get to some of those things later, but constrain yourself for now. Just do the simplest things for now. So I like Chase as my flexible points ecosystem. I use their cards, I collect my points in there, and then I use those points to do anything I need. You can now use Chase points with their pay yourself back option. You can transfer points to partners. You can use the Chase travel portal, or you can use Chase pay yourself back, and you can literally cover any and all travel expense with just this ecosystem. I like Chase because they're a transfer partner to Southwest, and they're also a transfer partner to Hyatt. And Hyatt, I believe, is the easiest hotel chain to stay for free. Don't try to stay for free yet, though. That'll come later on. So let's talk about constraining to one airline also. I'm putting these both under number two. Focus on one airline. Now, I hear a lot of doom and gloom about Southwest Airlines right now because of their changes. They've ruined everything. You can't fly them free anymore. It's not worth it because you got to pay for a bag and you got to pay for a seat. It's all over. Not easy to fly them anymore. Couldn't be further from the truth. Yes, they've changed things. I don't like a lot of the changes. I do like the assigned seat. I don't like that they're charging for checked bags. Um, and I don't like the changes to the fares. But here's the bottom line. You can still fly Southwest, and they are still the best airline to fly your whole family for free in the easiest way possible. They still cost the fewest number of points for everybody to fly for free. And they're still the easiest in terms of making changes or cancellations and getting points back and all of that. You just need to know how to shift what you were doing before to adapt to the changes that they've made. And they want this to be confusing and complicated so that you won't figure it out. I've already figured it out. My members have already figured it out. And as they change and evolve, we're going to keep figuring it out because we have hundreds of people in here who are trying things on Southwest every day, myself included. I'm out there flying Southwest in points. And we're sharing with each other. Oh, we figured out this little thing. Try this. It makes it easier. And then we share it with everyone. And then we've got all the easy tricks for how to do it. So, yes, they are still the best way to fly your whole family for free. I will tell you if it becomes that they are not, I will let you know because I have no ties to them. I just want to fly for free everywhere in as simple a way as possible. And I want your family to be able to do it too. And this is still the way. So I want you to keep that in mind. You can still get points back when the price goes down. You just need to know the right way to do it. You can still make changes to your flights. You can still cancel your flights with no penalty if you book in points. Always book in points. You can still easily get a free checked bag, so don't worry about that. And you can get an assigned seat, which is a bonus. That's a positive that in my book they've added. I like that I know where I'm going to sit. Hooray! I also like I don't have to remember to check in 24 hours ahead. That's a big bonus in my book. So if you want to know how to do it, and you don't want to have to get a PhD in it and read, and you don't want to trust AI to get it wrong because it gets it wrong. Any real time information, it's not very good. Keep in mind, it's just searching the web, just like you would be on Google, and it's pulling outdated information because there's a lot of outdated information out there, and it's going to give you recommendations that are wrong. If you want trusted advice from people who are out there doing it in real time right now, we got it. Um, Plus, another great thing about Southwest is they've added some awesome destinations here. So I mentioned Santa Rosa at the beginning. Now they've announced Alaska. Yay! I know that we are super excited that they have added Alaska. That one sort of seemed out of reach without shifting to another airline and spending more points than we wanted. Now we can do it with a companion pass. That's incredible. So I know my folks are very excited about Alaska. Knoxville's another great one if you like to go to the Smoky Mountains and Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. Now they've opened up that area. That was always an area I never understood why they didn't fly into that area, because the Smoky Mountains are the #1 national park in the US. So they needed to serve that. And they've also added St. Thomas in the US Virgin Islands and St. Martin if you like the Caribbean. And they already have tons of great Caribbean destinations, many of which we have done. And as always, Grand Cayman is one of my favorites. We just had another member come back from the Kempton Sea Fire. We have sent so many members there and they just love it. And it is amazing. I stayed at that property probably 5 years ago. Now, Lisa on my team, she's been to Grand Cayman twice and she stayed there. It is just a luxury experience. And if you can book it in points or get some free nights or get it discounted, all the better. Um, so when it comes to focusing on one airline, I just want to share a mistake that I made early on, which was getting an American card. So I was, getting emails from a couple of different bloggers, travel rewards bloggers, and they were always sending out the newest card bonus on any travel card. And I got sucked into this American card bonus because it had a deadline. It was its highest bonus ever, and I should get it. And I did get it. And that was one I wished I hadn't gotten, because it did not work well for a family. It might work okay now, but I still wouldn't want to dilute my efforts when we're able to accomplish everything we want on Southwest. And if I couldn't, okay, maybe I would consider another airline. And inside Families Fly Free, I do show you a way that you can fly other airlines here or there. So, for example, we have flown, for example, Delta to New York because it's just a direct flight and it's way easier. So we do use points differently in that case. And we have some members who don't live where Southwest flies out of, and so they need to fly another airline here or there. Sometimes they'll drive to an airport where Southwest does fly out of to get more free trips because, again, you can do a whole lot more free on Southwest than any other airline. But anyway, so I got this American card. It just wasn't enough points for my family to do anything. So I had these points, couldn't get four of us anywhere. And so I ended up there at the time, they had a way that you could fly to certain destinations at a discount. They don't have that program anymore. And so we picked a destination that Southwest didn't fly to that had a discount. We left the kids with my in-laws, I think, and then my husband and I took a trip and used the points, closed that card, never again. So just don't get sucked into things that you don't need. Know your travel goals, have a strategy, and implement that strategy. Focus on flying free, focus on one airline to start with, really get good at that airline. Um, all right, so let's move on to number 3. So the third thing I would say is I would, at this point, with the changes we've seen right now, I would skip the luxury travel card to get airport lounge access and other luxury perks, particularly if you have a family. If you're a couple, I think you could get away with it with the Capital One Venture X card if both of you hold it, and you can offset the annual fee with that card very easily. If it's easy, I'm in. If it's not easy, I'm not in. But the other cards, and you can go back and listen to my recent episode where I talk about my airport lounge access strategy. The other cards, which are Chase Sapphire Reserve and Amex Platinum, they have really made it cumbersome for families to be able to get lounge access. Very expensive, right? So we're looking at $7.95 on the Reserve and $8.95 now. They have raised the price on Amex Platinum. They hadn't when I had done that podcast, but we were expecting it. So it's very, very expensive. On your first card statement, you have to pay that. And then they've made it very cumbersome to try to offset that annual fee with credits that you have to parse out every single month and make sure that you're getting, and things that you might not use every single month, like Lyft. Um, so I would skip that, particularly if you're just starting out. If you're more advanced and you are okay with spending a lot of time trying to offset these credits, you can do it. But I would just be happy that you can fly your family for free for now. Um, and lounge access is nice, but it's definitely something you can do without, because a lot of the lounges are not great. Now, we happened upon two good ones. They sort of redeemed themselves in my eyes on this trip. These were nice, but not worth paying $8.95 or $7.95 for me to go in these two lounges. If I had a family that I would need to pay to do that. Now, if you can, again, do the Capital One Venture X and it's just two adults traveling and you don't mind, that's an easy annual fee to offset. It's $3.95. You automatically get a $300 travel credit every year when you book in their portal. And then they give you 10,000 points every year that are worth $100. Easy peasy. You literally only have to take one action to get that credit. They're going to send you the 10,000 points without you doing anything. And you just have in your account to use. So I would skip the luxury travel card if you have a family and just focus on nailing flying for free and going all the places you want for as few points as possible. All right, number 4, I would also just skip any card that has a high annual fee that's not easily offset. Again, Capital One Venture X, that's very easily offset. Um, Stick to the lower annual fee cards, the ones that I'd say are 150 or less, or even cards that just are very easy to offset the annual fee. So when it comes to Southwest, they have increased the annual fees on their cards, which is unfortunate, but it's still very much worth it to easily get a companion pass in hand, which I value at more than $6,000 over 2 years. So under my family's fly free system, fly free formula, you'll learn how to continually get a Southwest companion pass that's good for almost 2 years at a time. So that's $6,000 flying a family of 4 over 2 years, 6 times a year. That's the value it's worth to me. So is it worth paying a $249 annual fee to quickly and easily get myself there? Absolutely. But the good news with the higher annual fees on Southwest is now you don't really need to have more than one card in hand. So I really recommend you just hold the Southwest Priority card. That's the highest personal card, highest annual fee personal card, because that gives you all the perks and benefits you need with all the changes they've made. Free assigned seat, free checked bag, and an earlier boarding order, which is important only in the fact that you have a place to put your carry-on bag. And side note, that was another thing I meant to mention about this recent trip we took. Now they're charging for bags, checked bags on Southwest. And I have heard, we experienced it ourselves, and I've heard from multiple different members when they're flying that they are now begging you at the gate to check your bag, and they will check it for free. So we literally were sitting at the gate at Midway to get on our flight back to Indianapolis, and a gate agent came up to us and said, "Hey, can I take your bag and check it for free?" We were like, "No." We're a group. We're going to have a spot for our bag. No, thank you. And they're making announcements. Please let us check your bag. It's created a real problem for them. So that's kind of interesting, right? They made their bed. They've got a lie in it now. Who knows? Maybe they'll change it, because if they're planes that have been retrofit to handle more bags and more bin room can't handle all the bags, that's a problem. Not a great choice, in my opinion. All right. The next thing I would say is skip the hotel cards for now. Really, I don't like hotel cards overall. There are a few rare instances where I think they make sense, but focus on flexible points instead. So again, we're putting our blinders on. We're going to focus on our one flexible points ecosystem. We're going to focus on our one airline. We're going to focus on flying free. We're not going to worry about staying for free right now. When we get to staying for free, that's usually in year 2 for my people. Sometimes year 2, they do Europe. That's usually in year 3. So just take your time, get it down, learn the system, feel comfortable with it. Don't feel like you're opening a bunch of cards, right? We just want you to have at the end 3 cards in hand. They don't need to all be open immediately, that you're going to rotate over time, right? You just need 3. So skip the hotel cards. That would be more than 3, and focus on flexible points. So another thing that I did early on was I got a Starwood preferred guest card, and Marriott ended up buying Starwood. Um, but I didn't get that card at the time for free hotel stays. I ended up using it to get access to, they had events that you could purchase, and Marriott still does that, in points. And so you may have heard me share this, but we went to a Chicago Cubs game and stayed in the Starwood, the SPG Starwood Preferred Guest Suite at Wrigley Field. That happened to be the year the Cubs won the World Series. That was the first Cubs game for me and my boys. So that was super fun. And then we also used the points to book a Broadway show in New York City to see School of Rock. And we got second row seats with those points. And that was really fun too. And I don't think they work with that program anymore, Marriott, with the Broadway program. But so that was fun, and I'm really glad that we did it. But again, it sort of diluted my strategy, and I wasn't even using these cards to get free hotel stays. So I would wait on that. And inside my Fly Free formula, I do talk about how you can book events with points, but that's something you can do later on, a little bit more advanced if you find yourself with just buku points, right? And some of my members are in that situation. They have, they're booking flights all the time. They still end up with several 100,000 points at a time ready to go. Um, so I would say start by, getting your simple system to fly free down. And then maybe in year 2, you delve into some free hotel stays. All right, the next one I would say is focus on putting your spending not on 10 cards based on this one's getting more points here, this one's getting more points there. Pick 1 or 2 at, maybe 3 at most. And we have in the past given our members little stickers to put on their cards that, like a symbol like a fork and a knife. And, okay, you use this of your 3 cards for dining, and the gas pump, use this one for gas. This one's for travel. And so the ones I tend to recommend usually have higher points earning in dining and travel. And I feel like those are the 2 most important for most people, because once you start flying for free, you're going to be traveling a lot, and you are going to be spending some money on travel, whether it be transportation or hotels or tours or attractions, that kind of thing. And also dining, because you generally have to eat out when you're traveling. So I would pick 1 to 3 cards that you're going to put your spending on. Know which ones go for which. I know early on, before we made the stickers, we had a member who would put sticky notes on her cards, so she knew which ones to use for what. Uh, but I say this again for simplicity's sake, because I've learned that even if you don't use the best of your 10 cards, if you have that many, for every single to earn an extra half a point here, an extra point here, or whatever, you don't have to do that. And we still generate the points that we need to cover our travel goals. And it just keeps things a lot easier. So that's what you'll hear me say a lot. Yes, maybe you could earn more points by doing that, but you don't need those more additional points. You have enough points to do what you want and to do the free travel that you want. And that's when it comes to companion pass. And I'm asked so much, well, shouldn't we get 2 companion passes instead of 1? You could, and you'd have 2 people going free. But here's the thing, you don't need to. You have enough points to cover everyone but 1 person. And so when you add the second one, you add complication that's not necessary. So it's the same thing here. You could earn another half a point or 2 points or something on a different card that gives you more points in that category of spending, but it's not necessary, particularly when you learn the tricks and hacks that we use to pay fewer points on every flight, especially on Southwest, and all those things still work. And again, we're seeing great deals right now. I mean, the sales they've had recently have had flights as low as 2,000 to 2,500 points per way. That's crazy cheap. So, I mean, think about, I mean, of course, not everywhere you want to go is going to be like that. But if you can find some that are, and you could fly, if it was 2,500 points per way, that's 5,000 points round trip. If you have a companion pass for 4 people, that's 15,000 points. That's less than what you'd pay for one person to fly on any other airline. So like we did that flying from Indianapolis to Las Vegas one year, 4 people, 15,000 points, and we drove into Utah and did the national parks. I mean, you just can't beat that. And all that still works. So point being, when you're paying that low of points, you don't need all these gobs of points. And in fact, Cami and I were talking on the plane about how, you hear again these podcasts, these people, they're like, oh, I just spent 500,000 points on this trip to, again, fill in the blank where, some fancy place. And we flew in the first class and we stayed in this suite and yada, yada, yada. Okay, we go like 6 to 12 places a year on fewer points than that. So do you want to be trying to earn 500, 800,000 points to do one super luxury trip? If you do, you're not my audience. That's okay. Or would you rather fly everyone in your family and, like many of my members do, gift other people to join you, like friends or, your kids' friends or your parents or your siblings that don't know how to do this, and fly 6 to 10 times a year and get some free hotel stays in the mix? You're not flying luxury. You're not staying in a suite most of the time, but it's nice, and you're going all the places you want to go for less points than that. So that's an illustration of, you don't need that many points under my system to accomplish what you want. If you have goals that are similar to mine, fly all the people I want, all the places I want, whenever I want. That's my goal. And you know what? If it ends up, you are a couple down the line, your kids are out of the house or whatever, then you're going to have more points because you're not going to be paying for those extra 2 or 3 or 4 people, right? And then you might be able to splurge a little bit more down the line. All right. The last thing I want to say, I feel like I've really had a lot to say about this, more than I thought I would, is the last one. Let go of trying to use every single credit on every single card. And so you can feel like when you're first starting that you need to do that. You got this card, you got to really maximize it, right? So what I suggest is try to get your annual fee offset or largely offset if you can. Use the biggest credit on there and pick cards that are easy to do this. If it's a $95 annual fee, I don't worry about that. That's chump change, really, compared to, saving $10,000, $20,000 on travel in a year. But if you're in this territory of $495, $595, now we got $895 cards, right? Try to use the big credit on those cards to offset the majority of it, get it back down to that $95 to $150 annual fee, and let it go. Just let the rest go, right? This shouldn't be a second job. It shouldn't take tons of time. It should take 15 minutes a week once you learn how to do it. And we have lots of busy families. We were just talking on this elite trip, so many of us are in the stage of, we have kids at home, we're taking care of elderly parents, have jobs. That's a lot, right? Nobody wants to have to nickel and dime every single credit on every card. Don't worry about it. Relax. Get your big credit, like get the $300 credit on the Capital One Venture X. That's easy. If you have Chase Sapphire Preferred, it comes with a $50 hotel credit. We can show you the simple way to knock that out. Only pay $50, pay the rest in points. Now your annual fee's down to $45, right? Okay, so use your big credits. Maybe if you have a TSA pre-check or global entry on a card, try to use that every 4 years because that can save you. And just let the rest go. You're busy. We're all busy. We're just trying to take our family places and make memories and do it in a way that's simple and not overwhelming. And that's what I want to help you do. So I encourage you, if you want to do that, if that sounds appealing to you, if you're overwhelmed, it sounds like too much work, come join Families Fly Free. The price is about to go up. I've just announced that because I have added so much value to this membership in the last year. I've added my stay free formula. So now you have a simple step by step way to be able to learn how to get free hotel stays. Again, you can focus on that in year two. We just added small groups over Zoom based on interest or travel style. So we have a giant group of people who are going to help each other plan trips to Europe. This is optional, of course, but if you are a member and you want to participate, this is now a free option for you. We have school age kids, we have retirees, we have singles, we have families with college age kids, and we even have local groups so who want to meet up on the regular. So we've just added so many great things to this program. It's such a great community. It's such a great way to have connection with people with similar interests. And so I do need to raise the price as a result. And so that's going to be coming soon. So now is the perfect time to get in before that happens, get all of this value, and get your family hooked up with an easy way to do this and work with me. I love working with my members. So you're going to be able to work with me directly. We're going to take you by the hand. We're going to walk you through this thing. We're going to journey alongside you, and we're going to make sure you're successful, and that we can eliminate as many mistakes as possible for you. So to learn more, you can go to familiesflyfree.com/join. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you'll consider joining us, and all the best to you and happy travels.